Hi. Oh my gosh, I feel like I should totally have some theme music going on because we have made it to the last day of your mini Yoga Sutras course. You have covered some really important topics in self development and mindset and in yogic philosophy. So, congratulations, good job. And if you've missed any, it's okay. Go back and rewatch them. Hi, Leslie. So if you have missed any, it's okay. Go back, rewatch them. That is no problem. And in fact, I encourage you to rewatch all of these every so often because there are things that you will forget, and there are often topics that our mind will perceive what is going on at the moment, and our mind zeroes in and focuses on what it's focused on the a moment, right? So it's kind of like if you're looking at buying a red Honda and suddenly the next few days all you see are red Hondas everywhere. So your mind will focus and see what it wants to see. And that goes true when we study something. You will pick up on what it is that you needed at the moment. So go back and rewatch these whenever you need just a little pick me up. If you need to dive in to remind yourself to be more positive and do that self study, that is what I like to do. I don't know about you all. So let's say that. Like, what is it? Comment. What is it that you feel inspires you to keep with your self-development? Um, or what is it that just inspires you to get out of a funk, right? Um, Maybe it's listening to music and dancing around, or maybe it's joining fitness classes, or maybe it's having chats with your best friends. Maybe it is listening to an audiobook, or doing journaling activities. So whatever it might be, let's comment because that comment might inspire someone else. That comment might tell someone else, oh yeah, I didn't think about that, or oh yeah, I forgot about that. I totally should do that. So post that, let us know. So not just me, let everyone know. Curiosity. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And that's curiosity is a big factor of just mindfulness in general. Like when we get too habitual with things or too yeah, I guess habitual is the right word. When we just see things too many times or we do things too many times, it becomes a habit and it slips into a different portion of your brain. Exploring. Well, curiosity works too. And curiosity is exploring. So allowing ourselves to enter that childlike mind, right? And when we go exploring or we try something new, that could even be something really good to do. I went to school with this one girl, and I will never forget it. This was years ago. She had created this little popsicle sticks in a cup, um, and it was things for her and her boyfriend to do, and they would just pick one. And then they also had this box of note cards, and it was all these restaurants that they wanted to try. And every time they would see a new restaurant or hear a new restaurant or just look up some new restaurants, they would make a note card for it and put it in the box. And then they would go to that restaurant, try something, and rate it, and they would have it on the little index card. And it was really, really cute. And it kept things interesting, right? Like there's this huge world for us to explore. Um, and that's where I always felt as a child. Like I would go to the bookstore, and the bookstore is it's my little haven, right? And every book contains a whole nother world. Every book contains someone's world, and it may contain many collected thoughts and worlds of other people that is perceived through one person. And there's so much we can learn from books, and I'm grateful that we have audiobooks nowadays, and these visual platforms that we can do book studies, um, and books inspire me. So type below, even if you're watching a replay, let us know what inspires you. So today we're doing our review and summarization of verses 1 through 11. So I'm going to go through these fairly quick to remind you. Of course, I won't go through as much depth as we did the first time around, but to kind of jog your memory and remind you of what it was we were studying, but also so that you can see that big picture and really see how one is building on the next and how it's creating this big understanding of the mind. Okay, so instructions on how to practice yoga, mere philosophy. So just reading the books. Just reading the books alone won't do the trick. That we have to reach the goal by practice. So not words alone. And we see this even in self-development books. Self-development book business is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's because we can fly through a self-help book every week if we really wanted to. But how many people actually put all of those actions and strategies into play? And so we have to have the action to follow the philosophy. So faith, study, and practice, right? It's in everything. All right. The entire science of yoga is based on figuring out the mental restraints, noticing your blocks and your limitations that are of the mind. And so figuring out these mental modifications is achieved when someone has reached the goal of yoga. If you can control the rising of the mind into ripples, you will experience yoga. And then we went through some key ways that the mind creates a thought through. So these different what does he call them? The different portions of thought. So the mind is broken down into chitta, which is the different levels. There's the ego, or the ahamkara, which is the I feeling. There's the buddhi. So the only way that you can develop your ability to discriminate from different things and to build up your mindfulness is to build your buddhi through meditation. And then the other stage is manas, which is all the sensations. And we are constantly perceiving the world through our sight, our smell, our hearing, our energetic sensations. And to remember that story of, oh, I smell something in the kitchen. Oh, it must be cheese. Yes, it must be cheese. I want some cheese. And so recognizing all the different thoughts that are going through our mind and how we get there. And did we have all three? And that's just kind of fun to play with as well. Verse 3 is, you are a true seer. You are not the body or the mind. You are the knower. You are the seer. And so you always see your mind and body acting in front of you. You know that the mind creates thoughts and it distinguishes between the desires. The seer knows, but it is not involved in. And so we're constantly taking in our world through our senses. And it can get kind of confusing, right? Because sometimes we are fully present in the moment and we fully feel it. But often we are experiencing by what is happening to our external body. So normally you can't see the true self because your mind is colored. If the mind is dirty, typically we say, I am dirty. And if it's polished, we're saying, I am beautiful. So to notice that if your mind is muddy, you're going to see the world through this lens. So just as if a mirror has not been polished, and this is the common example. In one of the Buddhist texts, it says, polish your mirror day and night. And that is because it creates this film and this distortion, and we don't see ourselves clearly, and we don't see the world clearly. And cleansing our mind through meditation and self-study practices, so that we're fully aware of what's going on in our own mind. Verse 4. You have seemed to lost your original identity, and you've identified with your thoughts and your body. And this is that title. So who are you? I am a woman. Are you? Are you identifying with your gender? Or I am a professor. Well, then you're identifying with your career or your occupation. Maybe you say, I'm a millionaire. Soon. Maybe. Yes, it will happen. Then you're identifying with your bank account. I am a mother. I am a child. We are so many things. So you choose, for one, how you want to be identified. But two, ask yourself, is that what you really want to be identified with, or is that what society identifies you with? But ultimately, if you can drop all the labels, then what are you? Without all these external labels from this world, what are you? And that is saying that you are the pure I, meaning that we are all just energy. And if we're all just energy, then we're all the same deep inside, and that we're all just functioning through all of the experiences and the stories that we've accumulated by what people have told us or the deductions that we have made. And then verse 5, there are 5 kinds of mental modifications that can either be painful or painless. And so our mind functions from this is pain, this is pleasure, but in all reality, we need to know, like, where are our thoughts and motivations coming from? Is it coming through an intention to help someone? Is it an intention to help the world, to help our community, or is it an intention just to help ourselves? And that is okay if it is to keep your peace, right? So keeping your peace, protecting your energy, your vitality is important. So the mom who does not take care of herself and she just gives, and then she's depleted and she's either sick in bed or wishing she was sick in bed, does not make a very good mom. So it's much better, and everyone will be so much happier if the mom protects her peace and schedules the quiet time or has boundaries put in place. Just an example. And verse 6, there is right knowledge, misconception, verbal delusion, sleep, and memory. And so we went through these 5 types of vrittis. That's what I was trying to think of earlier. Vrittis, or these modifications that we put around the mind, which are the chittas, which are that sensation of our senses, our self, which is not bad. The word ego in yoga does not mean bad. It's just how we separate ourselves from others, our uniqueness. And if we get too caught up in that, then we might feel that we are separate from other people, right? And it's okay to recognize that you want something, because everything is coming from self. Everything you experience is coming from yourself, and that's not selfish. So that's where there's debate on that, right? Like, it's really hard because our culture has a lot of norms built around that. So they said it is important to distinguish between what is valid knowledge, what is inferred knowledge, and then what comes from authority, because we need to be able to distinguish what and where it came from as we start to clean out that mental closet of the mind. So remember, we're pulling around this suitcase that someone else has been packing all of our life, and we haven't gone through it. We just keep pulling it along. Maybe we've started to get a few suitcases, and our shoulders are hurting and we're worn down and we don't know why we're moving so slow. And it's because we have all of these like baggage blocks that we need to go through and clean out our mental wardrobe. And we do this by going through one thought at a time as it arises. And these misconceptions is when something is not based in truth, right? So I used that example of money and saying that we believe in our culture that if you work really, really hard, you will be wealthy. And we can see, but that's not true, because there are people that work really, really, really hard, but they don't acquire this this big wealth, like, right? They're not millionaires, even though they might be working to the point where they should be, because of how much work and energy they're putting into it, but they're not getting that equal energy exchange. And that can be because of misconceptions that we have, because there's a lot of common conflicting beliefs. And one that I go into in my abundance course is that we will say that we have to work really, really hard to have money, but we're not protecting our peace because we feel it's selfish to have money, and we would feel guilty if we had too much money because everyone else is working hard and then we would have money. And so we start to get this guilt, and then we also say, well, I wouldn't even want to be wealthy anyways because wealthy people are bad people. That thought might be in your mind because it was implanted when you were a child. So you can see how you start to just do this spiral. Sometimes we feel like that too. There's like birds circling around our head. Okay. So an image arises when we hear mere words. So when we're in fully the present moment, we're less able to, I don't want to use the word gullible, but sometimes it does come off as gullible, but we're less likely to miss the details. So I also like to say, like, our brain cannot literally multitask. Our mind cannot be focused on two things at the same time. What it can do is go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so it may be really efficient at that, and it can catch every other word and then deduct what the person is saying. And that's the people that feel like they're really great at being a multitasker. But in all reality, you will still miss out on key words. And sometimes we miss out on the not or the should. And we will get a mixed message. And this image could arise in our head just based on some words that someone said. And so that can be from that example, but also if I said to imagine a luxurious car, we might all have a different image of what a luxurious car is. So again, these are modifications of the mind. Everyone's might be different. Everything is relative. And then memories will just come up. They'll come up when you're sleeping. They'll come up when you're daydreaming. And so Patanjali says that memories only arise when we're either sleeping in that kind of dreaming or daydreaming. And so we allow ourselves to time travel, the way I like to phrase it, that we're time traveling as we go to the past or we go to the future. And the only full way to embody mindfulness is to come into the present moment. And I love that Jon Kabat-Zinn, the father of mindfulness meditation in a non-religious way, which you can obviously see that yoga is also that, but he really brought it into American culture more, said that if you are in the present moment, fully mindful, that you are timeless, because time is relative. And that is one reason why so many people love to meditate. You will find that most extremely well-to-do CEOs who just seem to accomplish the world in a day are often telling that they meditate and that they find meditation extremely important. Also, waking up early. But what meditation does is it allows us to slow down the mind. So I don't know if you've seen the movie Click with Adam Sandler, and he's constantly hitting the fast forward button to the point where life just starts to fast forward because it's learning the habits of him keeping to hit the fast forward button. And that is what happens with the mind. And this happens with ADHD. So we see this in children, but we also see this in adults, that we keep trying to make the mind speed up, especially when we're attempting to multitask and we're switching, or we're watching TV or listening to TV while we're trying to type a paper and we're trying to listen to another person and we're trying to talk. And the mind says, oh, I have to speed up so fast to keep up with that all. Or you're just constantly going from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. Or with video games. That they're just constantly, oh, this, oh, that, oh, this, oh, that. And what ends up happening is the mind speeds and speeds and speeds. And then it says, he or she wants me to be speedy all the time. Let's stay fast. And then the moment you want to slow down, it goes, no, that's not what we've been doing. So an object in motion stays in motion. The same thing goes true with the mind. So the mind's going fast, and you're just wanting to like put a wrench in it and stop it, and it's going, But we start to put this resistance, and this is the meditation, and so it starts to slow down. And then as it's slowing down, it can take in everything a little bit more. And as the mind is slowing down, we feel like we can focus and we can see things. So imagine you're spinning and you're trying to focus on this over here. And it's really hard for us to focus. And so the same thing happens if you tried to read a book and your mind's been going all day, and you read a few sentences and it's just so hard to focus. Sit down and do some meditation first. Let the mind calm down, and then go back to the reading or go to the writing or whatever it is that you need to do. Okay. So that is day 7. That's our summary of the first 11 verses of the Yoga Sutras. Thank you so much for joining me, and I want to invite you to keep studying with me by enrolling in the course, for one, if you haven't done that. If you are in the course and you're seeing this video, then make sure that you're in the Facebook group, which you all are currently in, and just get involved into the community. So feel free to reach out and message me and ask me questions, to post questions, to make suggestions, to say, hey, Izzy, I really want to study more on this or that, and let me know that. But to also get signed up for the yoga school, and that is on the page. It'll say Yoga School Open House, and that's to let me know that you're interested. And once the open house, all the information is becoming available, it will be posted within that you'll have available. And so we'll get some yoga classes and stuff thrown in there too, so that you really get a feel for what we'll be exploring within the yoga school. And definitely studying all of this beautiful book will be in there. And as you can see, like, each verse is crammed full of knowledge. We go into the ethics, of course, and we really go into your self-development, as well as how to lead others through self-development. And of course, me, I love business, and I love teaching about business, because I believe having your own business is its own spiritual practice in itself, because you will see blocks and you will see them fast, and overcoming those can be a very accelerated process. So if you are in the yoga teacher path within that, or the meditation teacher path within the yoga school, you will get lots of business coaching. For one, most business schools don't teach very heavy on it. It's very minimally required, and most teachers just do what feel good, and they don't show you the proven strategies. So I will be going through all of that. Yes, these Facebook Lives and materials will stay up, and they'll be accessible. So they're going to be accessible in the units section within this course. And then anyone who signs up for the free Yoga Sutras will continue to have that forever. I will probably slightly tweak it, update it, and then I'll eventually put it for sale. But if you got into it free, you get to keep it for free. So plus, right? I say you all get to be my beta testing. So to know that when you're in this group, you get little perks, right? You get me, you get my stuff when I'm trying to make sure that you all get all the good stuff. Awesome. Thank you, Leslie. I'm so glad you got to join. Yeah, and definitely check it out. Like I said, you go back to it every once in a while and just re-listen. Your brain will pick up on new things too. So stay in touch. We've got new courses coming up, and lots of cool things headed this way. I'm hoping to grow my business more this year, and it will be booming and expanding, especially come January of 2021. Sounds kind of strange to say, right? All right. Well, thank you for joining. Goodbye.